guys, thanks for tuning in to the Eliza Archery YouTube channel. Today we're going to take a look at the PSE Stinger Pro Kit. This is available in our shop and we've got a couple in stock right now. But today we're going to go through what's in the box, what's involved in setup. Because at the moment, we're asking, some of our customers are wanting to actually put all the accessories on their bow themselves. It's a good way to learn about what everything does, where it all goes, and also how to adjust it. So we can teach you all of that, but it is good to learn by yourself and just figure it out how it all works. So what comes in the Pro Kit is you've got your bow quiver here, you've got your sight with micro adjust, you've got your stabilizer, your wrist sling, or your Peep sight and your D-loop, and your arrow rest, and of course the bow. So for a long time, PSE were actually sending these to us completely built, but now they've decided that we should build them instead, which is fine. But yeah, it does, for the customer, it's a bit more involved if they actually want to set it up themselves. Something that you can't do on your own is put in a Peep sight, because this does require a bow press, something that we have at the shop. But we'll definitely put that in because you can't do it on your own without it. So let's jump straight into it. Before we do that, actually, we'll go through the tools that we need. So there is a bit of D-loop in here, but generally, with the customer's bow, I'll send a little bit of a longer strand because the strand they give you is really, really tiny. Can certainly work, but it's just hard to work with. You'll need a standard set of Allen keys because the only Allen keys that come with it are actually for the bow quiver only. You'll need a standard Phillips head screwdriver. You'll need a little bit of serving, but once again I'll put this in. It does come with 2 strands of serving, but I'll mainly just use that for the center tie around the Peep sight. You'll also need a lighter and possibly D-loop pliers if you've got them. Otherwise, these are certainly not essential. It just makes it easier. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the stabilizer on. There's just an easy thing to chuck on, gets you started. So what you want to do is you want to put your wrist sling on at the same time because it goes into the thread. So when you do, unhook it, just pull it all the way out, like that. And all we do, I'll flip the bow around. We put this section through the grip up here, and then start feeding it back through. So feed it through the top one first, and then come back down through the inside there, and pull that tight. Adjust this once you're started shooting and stuff like that. And then all we do is we grab our stabilizer, push it through the wrist sling like that, and screw it into the bow. It just goes in the stabilizer mount just below the grip. And not too tight, but nice and tight so it's not going to rattle. Cool. Alright, so our next thing, we'll grab our Allen keys. We're going to need, I think it's a 742. Oh, it is a 316, that's the one we want. So we want a 316 Allen key. And we flip our bow over again. Then we grab our rest, put it in, make sure the prongs are facing up, and there's a little hole in the back of the riser just below this bar here. All I do is just line the rest up, screw it in by hand to start. Long screw. Alright. Now what we do, I'm just lining this up basically, I'm eyeballing it to start. We are going to check this later, so just line it up roughly where you think it's going to go and just make it tight. Cool. And next thing we want to do is we want to grab our rest timing cord and this little piece here. So if you can see in the light, it's just a little holder with two slots for the string and the cord. For this, we need our Phillips head screwdriver. Just undo the screw in the top there. Take this all the way out. Really important that you don't drop. There's a nut in the back side of that. Don't drop that. And also don't lose the screw, it's tiny. When putting the rest timing holder on, it generally goes on the closest cable to the bow down the bottom end, but if you're unsure, just do this last. Once you put your D-loop on it, just pull it back a little bit and watch which cable pulls down. When you're ready, put one side on, we grab our cord, put it in the other side and put that one on the top. So I've actually got my hand underneath. I'm actually making sure that the nut doesn't fall out. And then when you're done, just screw it together. Don't worry about where it's sitting at the moment. We'll all look at that once we start shooting. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install our sight. So what we need for this is we obviously need our sight, we need our sight rod, we need our 2 sight screws. All right, straight up, we just put sight light in. That goes in the top thread. So that just helps, illuminates the pins in low light conditions, makes it easier to see. All right, so the sight basically mounts on these 2 holes here, just above the rest. And you want to make sure that you've got your sight light up the top and your micro adjusts here. And we do screw our sight in. There we go. So I always screw stuff in by hand first, just checking that it's not cross-threading, and then finish it off with set arm keys. Wrong one again. And don't do the first one up really tight straight away. Do that sort of tight, and tighten this one up, and then go back and finish that off. Cool, easy done. All right, so next thing is we're gonna move on to doing our peep and also our D-loop. All right, so now we've got the bow in the press. So I've wound the bow in, so basically the strings are a bit sloppy. So obviously most people aren't going to be able to do this, so here I'll just put the peep in. When you receive the bow, if you've chosen to build it yourself, I'll just put the peep in, but I'll leave all the tying to you because that's sort of like an advanced thing that you can learn and it's good. Alright, so I do this little piece of string here is our recommended peep height, and it's also put through the center of the string already. Just undo that. Very careful not to lose that. I just split the string there. And take this off somehow. Very good. Alright, so then we just pop our peep in. This little part at the top, that's the tube, goes up the top. Put that in. Very good, so that's in. Now what I do is I just wind the bow out a little bit just to get that tension on, and that's not going to go anywhere. So now what we do, we grab one of our pieces of serving that comes with the kit, and we put it in our hand. I like to have the part that's going to go on the string nice and short, and first thing I do is I feed that just through the center of the string, just to hold it in place. There is a way that you can tie this where you actually start up here, work your way down and tie it all the time, but tie it down the bottom as well, but that's too complicated. And then also if you want to take your peep sight out and change your peep sight, you have to redo the whole thing. So I just leave, I just do separate ties either side and then do a center tie around. All right, so now what we do when we're tying this is we create ourselves a little loop at the end here. We push that on the string with our left hand and we grab this long tail. And all we do is we flip it around the other string, which is running along the bowstring, 15 times. All right, 2 there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I just count them out every time, just so they look even. Alright, so now we're here. What we do is I get this tail out of the way, I grab my other tail, like that, and then we do is we pull on this tail here, just to make all that serving bunch together. So we bunch it together, and then push it down a bit, just into position, and then all we do is a double knot here. So like that, and then another knot. Like that, nice and tight. So we want to still be able to move them up and down, so don't go insanely tight, but you also don't want it to come off. Alright, so now we grab our scissors and we just trim the excess fairly close to there. What I do is we will be burning these to make them look nice and neat. I do that all at the end once I'm done. Okay, so our next piece. We grab our next really long piece and we basically do the same on the other side. So here what I do is I actually tie my flat end onto the string like that, just a single knot, just to hold it in place. Because if you don't do that, I find that as you're twirling it around, basically this one will start wrapping around and you get lost and it starts to look really ugly. Alright, so we make that same loop, press on with your left thumb, and then go around 15 times. 1, 2, 10, 12, 14, 15. Cool. Pull that back through. And then all I do with this little tied on bit here is I slide that down onto the normal string off the serving, undo that knot somehow. I'll just grab scissors. Undo that, and now we want to pull that tight. Oh, and then we do our double knot again. When we're tying serving as well, we want to make sure that you're really gentle on your fingers. This slices through your skin really easy. So what I actually do when I'm pulling it tight is I get my thumb and I'm actually pushing against the string just to make it nice and tight. Because if you wrap your fingers around like that and just pull, it'll cut all the joints in your fingers. Alright, and we just chop the ends again. And I get this one off here. Like that. Cool. Now, next part is if you're doing this last, you can actually just use a piece of the serving left behind, or I've got extra serving if I need. Alright, now the part here is I want to basically tie in the peep itself. What I do is I start underneath in the little grooves here. So we start like that. Bring it up over the top, do a knot up the top. Pull that, so I go tight there, and all I do here is I go underneath with both. This is tricky, and then we just do a knot up the top, making sure that your strands are all in the grooves. Tie that there, and then trying to keep that tight as you can, do another knot just to finish it off. Pull that nice and tight, watching your fingers. Very good. We grab our scissors again and trim like that. Alright, now we grab our lighter. Be very, 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 very careful here because it's super easy to burn strands on your string. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm sort of just manipulating it, trying to get it close to the serving, and I'll do this very slowly because it's an expensive mistake. So press that nice on the string. All right, we do the top. Cool. Just be extremely delicate there because it's very easy to burn your string. Cool. Alright, so now we've put the Peep side in. Oh wait, we've got one more part. So with our Stinger kits, they come with a tubular Peep sight, just with a little piece of rubber here. That's a good starting Peep sight because when you got brand new bows, the Peeps twist a lot. So these pull them into line and make it a lot more beginner friendly and less frustrating. Alright, so all we do, we slide that onto the Peep here. Cool, and we grab the other end and we tie it onto the little bit of serving here that's been left for it. Do a double knot there. See that knot? Easy done. We don't want to burn that one. Alright, so next part is our D-loop. So we'll grab our little bit of D-loop material here. Basically very thick string. First part is you fluff up one end. How you do that is I hold it in my fingers there and I just press and sort of squish it. You want it nice and fluffy because that'll make sure that it doesn't come undone. We do burn the end here. See how I'm burning it, and then all I do is I press the lighter against it just so it's nice and flat. Try and get it a bit neater than that. Like that. There we go. Alright, so there's heaps of diagrams on the internet, but also just watch this video a billion times. Took me well over a year to get the hang of doing this without looking at anything. So first how we start like this. We put it on the back side of the string and we pull both strands up underneath. And we do pull both tight, like that. So then what you want to do is that little bit of strand there, just sitting there. Now don't pull this tight because I haven't even lined it up. So we do, basically I just get that on the string. And then next part is you want to grab an arrow. Because we do this all the time, we have just a little cut off arrow here. Basically for lining it up, you can do it with a bow square, but most people aren't going to have a bow square, so I just do it the realistic way of how we do it. So we do hook it onto the string, and at this point I actually take the bow out of the press. And then making sure that you pull the rest up, and pushing it like that, and then all I do is I'm just lining it up. It was actually pretty close. See up at the back there. Alright. And all I'll do is I pull that a bit tight so it holds in position, but I'm happy with that. Put the bow back in the press. If you don't, obviously most people won't have a press. Just put it on the table, something like that, doesn't matter. This just makes it easier, that's all it is. Cool. Now that we've done that, then we do our next part. So our next part is we grab this strand here on the back side of the string, fold it up underneath, and then back through the center, the loop that you've just created. Pull that a little bit tight, and we do back over the top here. Actually, we go back over this side because you ultimately want to end up with these burnt ends on opposite sides, so they pull opposite. So we go like that, fold it back underneath, and then back through the loop again, and pull that somewhat tight. And then you want to have your D-loop as small as you can. So we just make it nice and tight. Still make sure that you've got room for your arrow to sit, and you're not squeezing your arrow. Okay. Now we grab our scissors again, trim this. Take our arrow out because we don't need that, but be careful not to move it around because it's not tied in yet. And we do same thing, we fluff up the end here. Good. We'll grab our lighter, and same deal, just burning the end and pressing it with the lighter. Cool. Alright, I'm happy with that. So now we grab our D-loop pliers if you've got them, otherwise just get normal pliers or something like that. And now all we do is spread it and make it tight, so you can put your arrow back in just to make sure you're not going to squeeze it. And I'll also take this, so I've noticed that's just moved a bit, so now I'm actually going to take it out of the press again and just double check the height. Because once you lock it in, you're not going to get it out, so I want to make sure it's correct. Alright, checking this again. So yep, that moved. Too much. Very good. Alright, now what we do is we dig our D-loop pliers in and we pull it like that. So the absolute best way to do it would be to actually do serving in here. So you can do top and bottom tie-in knocking points, as it's called, but they're not essential. So we just put the D-loop on. Alright. So now just chuck it back in the press. Now I just check over everything, making sure that these are nice and secure, because it's a really bad thing for your D-loop to break while you're drawing it. It's happened to me on a 60-pound bow, and it really hurts. You punch yourself in the face. So making sure that everything is secure. Same with your Peep sight. You don't want that flying out when you're shooting, but as long as the bow, it generally shouldn't come out. Alright, so now we've done here everything we needed to do. We'll now just add the finishing touches. Alright, so we're back at the bench here. The last things we've got to do is we've got to put this little bit of foam here on. So that just goes in the rest here, just so it doesn't scratch your bow. And it's got double-sided tape that's really hard to get off. Damn near impossible, actually. There we go. Alright. So then you just stick that in the middle. Doesn't actually matter too much where it goes. Just stick it down like that. Press nice and firm. Cool. Throw that away. Alright. Now our bow quiver. So the bow quivers go on the back of the sight in the holes behind where you screw it into the bow. So for this bit, it actually comes with the Allen keys you need. And also, you need your mount, your bow quiver, and all your screws and stuff like that. First thing we do is we chuck our mount on. I always double and triple check that this is going on the right way, because even I make mistakes all the time. So I just, I always put it on, place it, push it in, and making sure that it's correct, because then you're going to take it off. But Alright, so now, once again, you can position your bow quiver wherever you like. I like mine about in the middle of the bow, and then as far back as I can. So screwing the screws in, just by hand first, of course. Same deal. And we grab our small Allen key. Oh, it's actually the big Allen key. So before I do that, do the screws up, I'm just making sure that it's level and flat down, and then we just screw that one in. Cool, and make sure they're nice and tight. Cool. Alright, now what we do, put our bow quiver on and put the lever down. Easy. Alright, we're done. So in this video we built a Stinger from out of the box, put everything on with a pro kit. All the stuff you see here is available at elizaarchery.com.